Hey everyone, welcome back. So, I actually posted a video this morning, but I guess this will be a two-part for that video that I posted this morning. So, normally I don't bother ranting on social media because I feel like there's no point to it and I feel like it just gets people riled up for absolutely nothing. I'd rather work on my project than waste my time complaining about pointless crap. That being said, I don't think I could let this one slide. So if you watched the previous video, I was talking about the lifters and I was doing some work on the lifters and these LS7 lifters from Brian Tooley Racing, which are actually Delphi lifters that he doesn't make himself. He just gets them, reboxes them, and sells them, which is perfectly fine. Everybody does it. I spoke to them yesterday on the phone and I spoke to a technician and the technician was as stumped as I am. Like, 1, 2, 3, 4, but all 16 producing zero oil. That's so strange. And like the whole top end just chattering because, well, there's no oil, right? It's just steel on steel. So anyways, he told me if I found out anything to email him and let him know what I found. So unfortunately, I forgot the guy's name and I didn't want to send it directly to their sales department because it would never go through the proper channels. So anyways, back when I started this whole LT swap thing a long time ago, I got in touch with Brian Tooley and I actually have his personal Facebook Messenger. So every now and then, if I have a really serious question that I'm super stumped on, I'll reach out to him. And usually, the guy's super knowledgeable. He's been racing forever. He makes all this stuff and he's a smart guy. I have a lot of respect for him. So I figured, I was like, well, hey, instead of, dropping all this information to the sales department, which they probably won't know what to do with it, I'll just plead my case to Brian. I'll say, hey, look, this is what happened. I called one of your guys. He was super nice and friendly. We were chit-chatting. We were trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like, here's what I think happened. Here's the two caps off of separate lifters. No oil is getting through any of them. And I gave him this big, long explanation. I sent the pictures. I was polite about it. I was just like, hey, this is what's going on. I wasn't vulgar. I didn't ask for any money. I didn't ask for a refund. I didn't ask for anything warranty. I was just like, could you please pass this on to whatever technician I was talking to yesterday and let him know this is what I found and thanks for your time. And that was it. So today I received a message back from Brian Tooley himself that I was kind of a little insulted, normally every time I reach out to him, he's a very helpful guy. But he kind of, I understand standing behind your product and everything, but the words that he used, I was like, it made me basically feel like I was a complete idiot. And I didn't even know how to reply to him. So, I don't have it in front of me, but to the best of my knowledge, he wrote back to me, that's just how LS7 lifters work. Weird, huh? And I'm just like, weird. Yeah, that is weird because why would anybody ever run a lifter that fucking doesn't oil the top of your engine? Who would ever want that? Weird. Okay. So and then 2 seconds later, another sentence pops up saying, listen, I know guys that have accidentally put 5.3 head gaskets on their 6.0 and that makes your engine sound like a diesel because the pistons might be hitting the gasket. Or I know guys that run my dual platinum springs and there's too much spring pressure and the valve train is really noisy. And I'm just in my head, I'm like, well, I didn't do that. I know what's in my engine. I built it. I didn't put a 5.3 or a 6.0 head gasket. And, it's pretty self-explanatory. It says 6.2 on it, and there's a direction on which it goes. So anyways, at this point, I'm a little insulted. You kind of, whatever. And then he continues to write me another message stating that you need to figure out why your engine sounds like a diesel. It's definitely not the lifters. And I was like, no, it definitely is the lifters. I guarantee it. There's no oil coming to the top of the engine. That's how oil gets through to the top of the engine, is through the lifters. It is a lifter problem. So At that point, I'm frustrated and I'm like, okay, whatever. Maybe he's right. The guy's more knowledgeable than I am. And maybe I should look into it some more. Maybe there's an oil pressure problem in my engine. But then the next sentence came in that basically threw my whole asking him for advice into question, where he responded to, I told him that I ordered 16 Melling valve lifters because I have used Melling in the past and had 100% out of 100% success with them. They're quiet, they oil well. I've never had a failure ever out of all the engines I've ever had. I don't know why I switched this time, but anyways. So I told him I ordered those Melling ones, and he replied to me, the best I could hope for you is that those Melling were made by Delphi or of Delphi quality. Anything else is a downgrade. So I understand standing behind your product, but to say that Delphi is the best lifter on the market, then I start to question a lot of things and a lot of the advice that I ask. I'm like, am I actually talking to Brian Tooley, or am I talking to some guy who's just sitting behind a computer who's paid to say whatever? Saying that they're the best on the market and anything else is a downgrade is a really tall statement. And I would go as far as to say a slap in the face to any other company, any other competing company. I mean, first of all, he's not even making them. He just redistributes them. I mean, if it was his own lifters that he made in-house, I understand. You stand by your product 100%. But when you're packaging something that you don't test in-house and you boast that they are the best on the market, that's kind of a tall statement. And so anyways, since this has happened and I posted that last video, I've actually had a lot of people reach out to me telling me that, yeah, Delphi lifters are junk. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're okay, sometimes they're garbage. So I think the lesson of today is just going to be to stay away from those products. And like I said, the Melling GM style ones that are not LS7 are going back in the car. And when I fire this thing up for the first time, I'm going to have my fingers crossed that that valve train is smooth as butter, and it'll be going directly to the sales department over there and be like, listen, you guys are selling junk. I'm sorry. I'm not that type of person that complains a lot. But when somebody tells me that I don't know what I'm talking about, when it's directly in front of my face and this is the problem, that kind of just, rubs me the wrong way. So anyways, yeah. Didn't want to do a rant, but I did because it kind of just irked me a little bit. So here we are, and hopefully those parts will be in tomorrow or the next day, and we'll get this thing all fixed properly this time. So tech tip of the day, God, stay away from those lifters. Don't waste your time or your money. And it's funny because so many people have come out saying they're junk and they're not good, and a lot of companies rebox them and sell them as, their brand, even though they're still Delphi. And they're not cheap. That's the worst part. If I were to buy junk and put it in my engine and it doesn't work, you get what you pay for. But these things, after my conversion, are like $500 in Canada. For $500, I could have gotten something way better. What are you going to do? Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate it. We'll get this thing up and running and steer clear of all that garbage out there. Cheers.